Okay, in this sequence now, we've already got 2 panels up and the corner posts put in. We're going to put the vertical pieces in our classic cabin versus the Rapid. Here was what that vertical looked like. This is between the logs. That's what we call a vertical. In our Rapid cabin, this is what the vertical looks like. Much lighter, much stronger. Now, all of our logs are drilled at the bottom, our verticals and our panels. Those are wiring holes. That's all pre-drilled. And in later sequences, we will show you how the cabin gets wired. But this is the bottom of this vertical. Now, this is what we call timber strand. This is a newer product. Basically, it's laminated plywood together, and it makes this particular member very, very straight. So we have issues in building. One is, in order to keep the building plumb, we got to start with something straight. Now, in the last sequence, we showed you the corner. That corner had a little twist in it, so we fought it. In another sequence, we're going to show you a different way of going about doing that with a piece of timber strand on the corner. But we use timber strand between the panels, and we'll show you the reason for using those and how they're all set up to go. So in this sequence now, Al and George are going to put the timber strand in, or the vertical corners. Now, on the length of the building, okay, the length of the building, those are all straight. In other words, the walls are straight. When we get to a gable, those walls are angled. That makes the gable. So the timber strand we use on the gable ends, timber strand vertical members, are different from the sidewall. So we're going to show how the gable looks and how the sidewall looks. So Al, let's put the sidewall one in first. Again, the bottom has the holes drilled in it. Those are going to mate up with the holes already pre-drilled in the wall members. So he will tack that in. So what Al's going to do is toenail that bottom in to hold that. Now that tightens up the bottom. Now on the top, we're going to pull that together with a clamp. Or if you don't have a clamp handy, you can toenail the top of this together into the side panel. Now we're going to clamp this just tight as we can. Now the outside panel, on those panels, if you notice, there's a 3.5 inch ear that sticks out either side. That's what gets screwed into the vertical, the VL we call that. So we have the side vertical in. Now we're going to put up the longer gable end. Again, these are going to be pre-cut for you. If you'll notice, we have an angle on the top of these and they're taller. The reason for this is now that angle obviously follows the roof line. So Al will toenail the bottom in just to get it set, and then he'll screw it to the plywood ear on the outside. Now when we get around to the other side of the building, we'll see that a little clearer. Now we'll take the clamp again and pull that together up there. And it'll be pushed tight to the ear. And then Al will put a screw into the plywood ear on the back side. And then that'll pull this all together. Okay, now George can take the clamp off. And And that's about all the fastening we really need to do at this point. Now, why is this taller than this? Well, the top of that identifies the top of the gable end. The gable end is a triangular piece you see on the end of the building. That's called a gable. We go all the way through because what happens in construction is this eliminates what we call hinge effect. In other words, if this were the side wall of the building and then I put the gable on it, what happens when the wind blows? This building wants to wishbone in. Or in a case of a different pressure, in other words, an inside pressure, it wants to wishbone out. This stabilizes that. It stabilizes that condition. And in construction, we have to do that for two reasons. Take the hinge effect away from the gable end, okay? And also it prevents uplift. In other words, something else we'll get into is called building uplift. Uplift is where the wind wants to get under the roof and pull your building off the foundation. So in a later sequence, we'll see that this also becomes our holding point for our gable up there. So we've seen both verticals get put in. The next sequence, we'll put some more panels in, a window panel, and we'll keep on going. If you have any further questions, contact us at the information listed.